Today, Stop the Spiral. How faith and resilience help men break addiction one decision at a time. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason.Lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn quitting is a decision in your body and your brain. Repetition is the mother of skill, and accepting the consequences of your decisions leads to better decisions. This episode is brought to you by Oak Haven Diagnostics. What's up, my dude? Welcome back to the Sacred Grit Podcast. Good to have you with me here today. I've been thinking a lot about stopping, right? So there's this idea of, just stopping an addiction. But if you've ever tried to stop a habit, you understand what I'm about to say. It's like the more that you try to stop, the more that this monster just feeds itself. And here's the thing that I have realized, making a decision, just because making that decision is hard doesn't make it any less of a decision, right? It's literally quitting heroin, pornography, bad eating, doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is that you're trying to quit, quitting is literally a decision. I sit with guys all the time who will say to me, it just doesn't feel like I have a choice. But the problem with that is you do have to have a choice. There's no other way out. That's why step one is, we're powerless. And you might say, well, Jason, that's antithetical, right? To be powerless, but also have a decision. Not really, because the powerlessness is where you gain the ability to make a decision, right? And the thing about that decision is it doesn't have to all be at once. It's not like, I just decide this all at once. You just make one decision at a time. You do the next right thing. It's the reason why in recovery, it's, all about just one day at a time, one step at a time, one move at a time, moving forward. Here's the thing I learned when I first started doing nervous system work as pertains to getting control over my wild thoughts is this. I had to learn how to make decisions in my body that I could send up to my head. Now, I had all the head knowledge that I needed. I just had to get that head knowledge into my body. So, I had, years of theology and learning about God and Jesus and Christianity and spirituality, years of it. Then I had years of recovery experience for sex addiction. I had therapy. I had all these different things up in my head, but my body was sending signals that I just couldn't catch with my brain. And what I mean by that is, and you might know kind of what this feels like, right? It's like if you start craving something, maybe it's a cigarette or ice cream, doesn't matter what it is. In your brain, you're going, man, I just don't want that. But your body is going, but I do want that. And so I had to learn how to decide things for my body. Now, that came from practices that I've told you about, that we talked about over and over here on the podcast, right? Just learning how to feel my body. But it also came from making decisions that were good for my body, right? So I had to kind of start to learn how to love myself. And once I had that connection, I had to act on the connection and repetition. So here's the thing. It's in the small things, large things, and all things. I had to learn how to, when I had these moments of dysregulation in my body, to be able to catch it. So many times the movement between, a feeling and then an action is so quick, it's lightning quick. I feel it, I just kind of do it. And I have to learn how to create capacity. And so when I started doing the practices, the cold water, breath work, meditation, yoga, the things I talk about ad nauseum, I started to learn how to, I think about, and the Bible says, take every thought captive and make it obedient. I started to learn how to just gain this little bit of space between thought and action. But here's the thing, I had to start to connect or act on that connection with repetition. So every time I caught one of those, I had to act in the opposite direction, no matter how small it was. It might be a moment of depression. It might be a moment of anxiety. It might have been a moment of, wanting to use alcohol. It might have been any little thing. I had to turn it the other direction, eat unhealthy food. I'm going to make a loving decision back toward myself. And here's the thing that I started to notice, and that was this. Every single time I made a decision back toward loving myself, I got stronger. I got stronger. Now, I have a good friend of mine, and he's a football coach, and he says this line: repetition is the mother of skill. And I believe that, man, because here's the thing: the more and more and more that I made loving decisions back toward myself, the more I gained the capacity to make loving decisions back toward myself. And once I made a decision, I had to feel and live with the consequences. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that I was craving sugar and I caught that craving, and this was early in recovery, because when you're recovering, doesn't matter what it is, heroin or sex or food, it doesn't matter. Your brain starts wanting to go toward other things to self-soothe, because, addiction is literally a way that we're trying, and I talked about this in another episode, to go connect, and connection produces feel-good hormones, and feel-good hormones come also from addiction, right? It's just connecting to another thing. This outside thing can help me connect to my inside world. But once I started to make good decisions, like I was about to say, if I wanted to eat some sugary food and maybe I grabbed a date or a banana instead, I would sit for a moment and recognize how the consequences of that good feeling felt, right? Because I was living in the consequences of all my bad decisions, my affairs and things that I had done that was wrong. And I knew how that felt, and it did not feel pleasant. I also had to feel what it felt like to feel it in my body, to make a good decision, to make a loving decision toward myself. And here's what that made me think of, right? Because this is kind of the $1 million question. And I can't remember the story exactly. You can go read it in John chapter 5, but Jesus comes by this man, and I think the man's paralyzed, and he's sitting by the pool of Bethesda. I think might be. For all my theologians, I might be murder in this story, but I do know he's sitting by this pool, and he's, waiting to get down in the pool, because the story is that the waters of the pool will heal his body. And Jesus looks at him and says, "Do you want to get better? Do you want to get better?" And I just think about that so many times, because I think that's a question, my dude, that you could really ask yourself is, do you want to get better? I work with men on a weekly basis, sometimes see multiple men in a day. And one of the questions I ask over and over and over is what are you so scared of? Why are you scared of being better? So let me ask you the same question, my dude. Why are you scared to be better? Why are you scared to have the hard conversations? Why are you scared to let go of the addiction? Why are you scared to start recovery? Why are you scared? Because here's what I would think could be an answer. Maybe you're scared because if you take responsibility for your life, then you have responsibility for your life. If you accept the fact that no one's coming but you, like this is your work, then you have to accept the fact that no one is coming but you. And my brother, that is hard. It is hard to accept that. But I can tell you this, man, the way out is your decision. Like Coach said, repetition is the mother of skill. It is your decision. And here's the other thing about that, and I'll cover this a little bit more on Gritty Wednesday, but your decision, I believe, is where God lives. If you think about it long enough, man, the way that your future is going to look is directly attached to just the decision that you make right now. You can't get away from it. And so I just want you to think about that, like making those decisions, knowing that I'm making big decisions that affect my future, even in the small decisions that I make right now. That is the path to recovery. All right, my dude. So today you learned quitting is a decision in your body and your brain. Repetition is the mother of skill, and accepting the consequences of your decisions lead to better decisions. My dude, thank you for listening, man. Listen, I appreciate it. I hope you find tools inside this podcast that help you, that you can share with other guys. I know that these things have literally changed my life. And I hope they're changing yours too. I coach guys. That's what I do. And do it over Zoom, do it in person. You can, from anywhere in the world, you can get a hold of me. You can click that book, a consultation call. We can hop on the phone or hop on a Zoom, see if we're a fit for one another. And yeah, man, hopefully get you started in a direction where you can start making decisions that are loving back towards yourself. All right. This episode is also brought to you by Air Georgia Adventures in Recovery, a men's group designed for going out in the woods, getting some hikes, getting some practice, having some bro time, most of all, a mentoring community of men that are doing this nervous system work and trying to heal together. Check it out at recoveryadventures.org. All right, my dude, I will see you on Gritty Wednesday.